Good morning, everybody. Thanks for being here. And thanks a lot to the organizing committee for inviting me and giving me the chance, first of all, of hearing all of your presentation and also presenting you the European Research Council. First of all, what is the European Research Council? Well, of course, it's a funding authority, a funding government, but with some peculiarities, because it's centered in, as Laura mentioned, in frontier research, in high-risk, high-gain research. And we aim to provide the PIs with independence and the tools to carry out these new ideas, these new strategies. It's all based on the scientific excellence. So no direction, no predefined targets. Of course, this is part of the framework program, Horizon 2020, and the future framework program, Horizon Europe. And here you can see the piece of the cake of the Horizon 2020, hopefully a little bit more in the next framework program. So let me explain a little bit more about this strategy. So it's basically all science are eligible. There is a bottom-up approach, meaning as opposite to top-down. As I mentioned, no predefined targets, predefined or imposed for any political strategy. You build your research from the basis. You build it up based on your idea, on your high-risk, high-gain proposal. It's an investment in the talent of the researchers. So we aim to provide independence and flexibility. The PI gets the grant, and he's the person deciding what to do with the grant. We aim to provide this independence in any country in the European Union and associated countries. As I said, excellence is the only criterion. We call it also out-of-the-box ideas, meaning exploring new ways out of the main roads of research. The ERC is ruled by the Scientific Council, which is here you have the family picture. This picture here, looking from the sky, is the newly appointed president of the ERC, Mauro Ferrari. He will join us in the 1st of January 2020. The Scientific Council is a group of selected researchers nominated by the European Commission, excellent researchers, and they have independence to define the strategy, to communicate with the research community, and controls the quality and operation. Another very important role is to nominate the panel members. They are the evaluators, the one that they will read the proposal, evaluate, and finally grant the proposal. Panel members has also independence to select this proposal, to rule the evaluation, and they are nominated based also on their scientific excellence and quality. The implementing body of all this strategy is the ERC Executive Agency based in Brussels, dependent from the European Commission, but again, an autonomous body. Another family picture with another face here looking from above. Here's the recently nominating acting director. Hopefully will be full-time director soon. So the executive agency has also this autonomy to follow the rules from the European Council, the Research Council, implement the proposal, implements the evaluation, and also takes action on the communications of the projects, of the running projects. In short, the ERC aims for funding frontier research, high risk, high gain, and giving the researchers the independence to carry out the project in any topic, not predefined topics. After 10 years, more than 10 years, we believe this is a success. More than 8,000 grants are running or have been running. More than 74 nationalities are involved among our grantees. More than 700 institutions and more than 60,000 people working related to ERC projects, PhD students, postdocs, lab managers, senior researchers, more than 60,000 people involved. Okay, so how do you get one of these grants? I will divide into sections. This is the main scheme called starting grant, consolidator grant, and advanced grant. Who can apply? Any researcher from any country, at any stage of their career, from any topic, from any scientific research area, provided that they develop their research in the European Union or associated countries. Among the associated countries, we have Norway, Switzerland, Turkey, Tunisia, Serbia, among others. I will develop a little bit on each of the schemes. Starting grant, self-explanatory. People, young researchers, starting their career, 2 to 7 years after their PhD, we give the chance to start their own research team, their own research program. This starting grant has a maximum of 1.5 million of budget. Consolidated grant, again, self-explanatory. Researchers already still in the early career, but with some experience. We give the chance to consolidate their position. In this case, the maximum grant is 2 million euros. And finally, advanced grant, consolidated researchers. There's no real age limit, but the request is a minimum of 10 years experience, 10 years track record. And we give the chance to explore new fields, new areas. In this, science, geography, art, culture, study of the human past, history. So when you submit your proposal, you target one specific panel. But of course, there are many multidisciplinary research, and in such case, you can request a secondary panel. This will ensure that your proposal will receive the reviews from that panel and from the secondary panel. Actually, these cross-panel reviews are even requested without the request of the PI in case that the panel decides that maybe that particular panel does not cover all the expertise in the proposal, so we request 2 other panels to help us with the evaluation. Preparing your proposal, how is the structure of the proposal? Well, first of all, there's an administrative part, including the budget, and the most important part, the scientific proposal. The scientific part is divided in 2 sections. Section 1 is an extended synopsis, maximum 5 pages, and then the track record, CV, but the scientific part is only 5 pages, and it's evaluated on the first step. The second part is the full scientific proposal. Then up to 12 pages, and it's only evaluated in the second step. I will go a little bit more in the evaluation system a little bit later. So the part B1 should be short, clear, concise, but it should clearly show the novelty, the risk of the research, but also, despite the risk, the feasibility of doing the research. In the section 2, you have to extend and do the more technical description, methodologies, targets, and all the necessary measure and, in case of risk, the counterbalance of the risk. There is a second group of second scheme, which is synergy. I will go very quickly into that because of the deadlines. The deadline to submission is the 5th of November, so very short deadline. But this is a scheme that was reintroduced 2 years ago. This is not an individual grant, it's a group grant from 2 to 4 PIs, investigators, from different institutions and also from different backgrounds. So the aim here is to connect completely different fields of research and develop a new field of research. The maximum grant is up to 10 million euros with a top-up of 4 million euros. So how is the evaluation process? The evaluation process is, is decided by a panel of expertise. There are 2 steps. The step 1, in which the part B1 of the proposal, the extended synopsis, is evaluated. the best proposal are passed to step 2, in which they evaluate the full proposal with the help of remote referees. However, if at this step there are around 4 to 6 reviewers, all panel members are requested to get familiarized with the proposal, because the final decision is taken on a plenary session, on a panel meeting in Brussels. As I mentioned, in step 1, only part B1 is evaluated, which also means that there might be some non-expert in that topic that will be reviewing the proposal, not direct expert, which means that the part B1 should be very clear and accessible to everybody, or to, meaning expert a little bit outside the field of the proposal. Proposals retained to step 2 are reviewed by the panel, and also remote referees nominated by the panels, and these are real experts in the fields, in the topics of the proposal. At step 2, first there is a remote part of the evaluation, and the second part is the interview. PIs are invited to Brussels to have an interview around 25 minutes, around 5-minute presentation, up to 15-minute presentation, plus up to 20-minute discussion. This is very much depending on the panel. Each panel has some flexibility to arrange the discussion and the interviews depending on the topics, on the needs. But the aim of the interview is to clarify any unclear section of the proposal. Unfortunately, there's some resubmission rules, so any proposal that make it to step 2 does not have any restriction, meaning that they can apply immediately the year after. But if a proposal gets a B or a C on step 1, they will have 1 or 2 years resubmission restriction. The synergy evaluation is very similar, but it has 3 steps. As I mentioned, synergy is in itself multidisciplinary, which means that there are no predefined panels. Panels are decided and implemented depending on the proposal after they arrive. So at the first step, we have a pool of experts. They will be assigned a proposal depending on their expertise, and there will be a first pre-evaluation only with panel chairs and panel vice chairs that will decide which proposal go to step 2, based on the evaluation, of course, of the other expert. At step 2, very similar to the other scheme, there will be also remote referees, and the panels now formed for this specific group of proposal, they will decide which ones go to the first step, which is the interview. Now, the result of all this evaluation, I would like to show you some examples of funded projects. The aim is to show the variety and also targeting this audience, so mainly related to sea science, ocean science. For example, project Big Sea is a running project that is combining socioeconomic activities with biogeochemistry and ecosystem. It's probably the first major attempt to include human activity into an Earth system global model. You probably also know the Euromarine research effort networks. This project is part of this network. This project is funded by the Earth System Science Panel. Project CLOC, Climate Adaptation to Fishing Stocks, is funded by the Social Science and Diversity and Population Panel. As I mentioned, archaeology, history, really amazing projects in history and archaeology. I selected this one, Portus Lumen, because it's basically in the Mediterranean. A study of all the Roman ports in the Mediterranean. Also based in the Mediterranean, coral worms, funded by the Ecology and Evolutionary Panel. Even institution and politics panels has interesting project that I'm sure you will be fascinated to see, like Sustainable Ocean. Again, also another project from the Earth System Panel, Time, testing the Mediterranean thermohaline circulation and the impact on North Atlantic circulation. There's a specific session on that very topic in this meeting. Of course, geophysics, big trending topic in geophysics. Fiber optic for detecting deformation of the seafloor. Again, this project is developed in the Mediterranean. This is the Ionian Basin. And applied life sciences and biotechnology. Another panel funding this project called Ocean Otter, artificial upwelling for bringing up nutrients from deep waters. Of course, this is just a flavor of the project that I think these are all topics that are covered in this meeting. Of course, I'm not suggesting to follow this project. It's just to give you an idea of the kind of project and the kind of research you are doing that is also very interesting for the ERC. I will quickly show the calendar for the next year. Unfortunately, the starting grant is almost on the deadline, so probably it's a better idea to wait for next year. But consolidated grant and advanced grant, there's still some time to request. As I mentioned, Synergy grant is also close to the deadline, and unfortunately, there's no call for Synergy grant in 2021. So if you request for more information, please visit our website. I have some leaflets here with me, so in case you need, you can even contact me directly if you wish. Also very important, the national contact points. Each country should have a national contact point to give you the information about the ERC, the programs, and how to proceed with the submission of proposal. So I would like to just to add one final request. So the ERC is looking for excellent science. CIESM is hosting excellent science. So I believe that excellent scientists should always keep on supporting this meeting. So please submit your proposal, get your ERC grant, and come back here and tell us about it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, David. I must tell you something, a confidence that I've got a few minutes ago. David was contributing as a researcher to one of our previous congresses before he got his position at the European Research, so he was the first to pave the way. And thank you very much, David, for being back with us. I think we have time for a couple of questions, if anybody wants to profit. Maybe I can do it immediately. David, I have a very little curiosity. Do you have any statistics, let's say, help for successful attempts about, for example, topics that might be already absolutely free? So it's
Thanks for the question. Not an easy question. We have a lot of statistics. But it's difficult to give an exact answer because it will depend also on the statistics of the submission. So depending on the year, we have hundreds of submissions related to paleoceanography, and this is actually quite a successful topic. But if you normalize to the submission rate of each subdiscipline, there is basically no difference. So yes, there is a high number of paleoceanography projects, but not because they are more successful. It's just because they are submitted more intensively.
Another question? Okay, so you stay here.
Thank you for the presentation. My question is about legacy maybe. Okay, thank you. So my question is about the requirements to be associate member of your organization as a non-European country.
Well, unfortunately, I cannot reply to that because that's basically a political question, and that depends really on the high spheres of the European Commission. But as I mentioned, keep in mind that anyone from any country in the world can apply and move to one of the associated countries or to the European Union. The host institution can be based in any of those countries.
Okay, then thank you very much. We will profit of this.